everybody, this is Dr. Dain. Welcome to the next installment of What the Bleep is Energy. So let's talk a little bit today about your mind, your brain, consciousness, and energy. Oh, just 4 tiny topics. I'm sure we'll get through it in a couple of minutes. So here's the thing, is this thing called energy is what we in our bodies and the entire universe are made of, but we don't often acknowledge that that's the case, so we often feel separate from it. And we use our mind to create the separation between us and our energetic awareness. And you're like, wait a minute, that's what our mind does? Yeah, your mind is a dangerous thing, waste it. A lot of people say, well, your mind is responsible for coming up with these new ideas and these brilliant possibilities. No, that's actually your being and your connection with the energies of past, present, and future that let you know that there's something different possible. That's actually the energy of you and the consciousness of you that create that. And your brain can help you create it also. So, and now you're like, well, wait a minute, spacing me out, dude. Totally understand. So here's the thing, is your mind is a limited point of view. Your mind is a computational organism. Your mind is like a linear computer. The consciousness of, so let's look at it this way. Your mind functions linearly. Your mind judges what's right and wrong, what's good and bad, what you should have and what you can't have, what's possible and what's impossible. But it's sorry, need to think about that for a moment. Okay, its idea of what's possible is based on the linear point of view of the past of what it decided was right and wrong and good and bad. So all of its ideas of what's possible are based on judgment. This is how your mind works. Now, and so when you look at a possibility for the future, what happens is you go, oh my gosh, this should be possible. We should be able to travel faster than light. And your mind goes, nuh-uh. Einstein said light is the speed limit of the universe, so that's it. Except then he went on to prove that things travel faster than light. Oh, that consciousness actually travels faster than light. How did he prove this? He took 2 particles that were related that would move. When this one moved, this one moved. He separated them and then had somebody think at this one, and this one moved, and this one moved at exactly the same time faster than the speed of light. So he just proved his own theory, which he was very happy about because he realized that can't be true. Now, let's just move on from the science of it for just a moment and recognize that if you look at this, and we're talking about it, your mind is the computational system that you've used to define mostly what's not possible, not what is. Your consciousness has an awareness of every possibility that exists, and when it brings that into your mind goes, nah, can't do it. You know why? Can't do it because remember when you were 3 and you tried something like that and it didn't work? Well, that's why you can't do it. And the other reason you can't do it is because nobody else has ever done it. And the other reason you can't do it is because you're not smart enough and you're not bright enough. And I've got a lot of evidence to show you why you can't do it. And if you listen to your mind, you're done. Now, all the people who've created anything great on the planet, anything that is totally different, have gone beyond their minds. They've actually used the consciousness of them, the energy of what they were aware of as the future possibility, and then your brain, which actually, your brain's greatest job at this point is to run your body miraculously and make sure you still breathe and your head stays upright and different things like that that are kind of important, if you're going to have a body here and keep going. But one of the things we've looked at is, science says you use 10% of your brain or less. Now, if any of you have seen the movie Lucy, you start to see what might be theoretically possible if we got over the idea that our brain, if we got over the idea of only using 10% of our brain and started increasing the percentages. She starts controlling matter, she starts controlling computers, she starts controlling people, she starts to do whatever the fuck she wants, basically, which I think is why your mind was instituted, so you wouldn't ever get to do whatever the fuck you wanted. Now, if we sort of put all this together for a moment, one of the things I've seen in facilitating access consciousness classes, especially with this ESB work that I get to do and the classes I get to facilitate, is that a lot of the things that we decided were limitations and decided were impossible start to go away and start to change. I've seen people who experienced horrendous abuse, who are stuck in that abuse, who are creating that abusive cycle, who get over it in literally 20 minutes or a half an hour, and they never go back. And then they start creating their lives beyond abuse. It's an amazing thing, and I use that because that's an intense example of one thing that can limit us. But I also see a lot of people who have the idea that they can't necessarily change their lives. They can't necessarily change their level of happiness. You know, sort of that living, breathing thing where you wake up in the morning and it's like, well, are you on a scale of 1 on the happiness scale or 10? You know, are you almost so depressed you want to die, or are you so happy you want to create everything you can that's possible? And I see people change this dramatically and dynamically. And what happens is when you go beyond your mind, you truly have the capacity. You know, so I'm speaking English now, darling. Hello. I'm in Italy. It's okay. You know, I got to speak a different language. You truly have the capacity. Capacity plus beyond equals capacity, by the way. You truly have the capacity to do things differently, to create things differently, to change things in a way that you never imagined possible. And it's interesting because even your imagination is a limitation. What? And I used to use that word a lot. Imagine if, imagine if, imagine if. Now I say, hey, consider what would occur if. Ponder the possibility of. And so if you want to start exploring this, you want to maybe ask yourself, what possibilities can I ponder that my mind cannot fathom? And if I were truly choosing to create my life, am I living in my reality? And if I were truly choosing to create what I know is possible beyond my mind, what would I choose? And this starts to put you on the adventurous exploration of what consciousness and the energy that you naturally have available, but also the energy that every molecule in the universe has available, can contribute to you and others in what might be created, what might be changed, what might be chosen, and what possibilities might exist. See, within consciousness is every possibility, even beyond what your mind can think or fathom or ponder. And Einstein said every molecule in the universe has consciousness, and if you'll interact with your consciousness with the molecules of the universe and their consciousness, you can change them just by your request. This is where life and living gets exciting. This is also where healing occurs. And for me, healing is a change from a level of lower consciousness to a level of higher consciousness. All of these things become available when you start to recognize that your mind is not the source of possibilities, it's a source of limitation. When you recognize there's a consciousness that exists in every molecule in the universe, including the molecules of your body, when you recognize that you are the energy and the space and the consciousness that can connect them all, and you become the invitation to possibilities that have never existed before. If you've ever wanted to be the invitation to possibilities that had never existed before, now is the time, my beautiful friends. So, consider the possibility of asking, if I were to choose to create my reality beyond my mind, as the consciousness and energy I truly be, and allow my brain to have more than 10% of its capacity, what would be possible? Consider that your invitation, your question, and your invitation to a totally different possibility for how we can be together on the planet and for what we can change and create together on this beautiful planet of ours. I adore you. Thank you so very much for listening. I look forward to meeting you in person someday.